It's time for the Ruffin Wrestling Show. Here's your host, Michael Ruffin.
You're soft, you're sloppy.
How's it going, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Ruffin Wrestling Show. I hope everybody's having a great, Wednesday? Thursday. It's Thursday. Wow. Thursday already. It's SummerSlam week. I know I have not done a show in quite a while, almost a month. I have actually been extremely busy. I started a new job, which I have a lot of responsibility, and I'm in a management role there and at a nice office job. So, but we are 24 hours, so I work nights. So unfortunately, a lot of times I don't even get to watch Monday Night Raw until sometimes on Tuesday, sometimes even Wednesday. SmackDown, I try to watch maybe on Wednesdays, sometimes it's even Thursdays. Like I haven't actually watched SmackDown from this week. But I'll go on and I'll read results so I kind of know what's going on, but sometimes I just don't get to it. And NXT, I kind of had a marathon NXT over the past couple of days to get ready for TakeOver Brooklyn 2, Electric Boogaloo. I'm sorry, that's what I'm going to call it. If you put the number 2 behind anything, I'm going to call it Electric Boogaloo. So it's NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2, Electric Boogaloo. So we got that on Saturday. We've got SummerSlam on Sunday. It's a huge, huge weekend in wrestling. And I'm going to do 3 different shows this week. I'm going to do the show today, which today is going to be all about just catching up and talking about some of the things that have been happening since the draft. I have actually not done a show since the first Monday night, since the draft. The last show I did was talking about where the draft went, and that's the last show I did. So I got a lot to talk about today. Then we're going to do a TakeOver preview, and then we're going to do a SummerSlam preview. So we got a lot to come up on this weekend. So let's get to it. Just right out the gate. Since the draft, I've been loving Monday Night Raw. Since the draft. I love the stuff that they've done on Monday Night Raw. I love that they've moved the commentators off the floor and up towards the ramp. Now, I know a lot of people are upset about this. They're not crazy about it. And I think a lot of that is because it takes away the element of somebody getting put through the announce table. And some people say that it takes away from the commentators feeling like part of the show because they're not down there part of the action. They're up on the ramp further away than some fans. There are fans that actually have a more involved seat than the commentators do. But the thing is, the commentators are actually part of the show. They have headsets, monitors, they have, they're actually being part of the production. So you can make that point, I guess. But does it really make sense? To me, it doesn't. I like them being off the floor. They're going more towards if you watch like American Ninja Warrior, the commentators are up in almost like a skybox thing off to the side, but they still feel part of the action. So they're taking on more of a sports commentary role and taking them away from the action, taking them away from the wrestlers where they won't, have to worry about somebody being thrown over a table or somebody being put through the table. Then you got to spend the rest of the night with no table unless they come out and put it back together, which they have been doing here recently, before the draft, obviously. But they take that out, and now they've put them off to the side. They're not up in like a press box, like I would say, like, up in like for the NFL. But you can say that, would you rather see NFL commentators put on the sidelines? Come on. To me, it really doesn't matter where the commentators are put. I like that they're off the floor. I like that. But a big shakeup to that is that we lost JBL and we picked up Corey Graves, which I've been saying that Corey Graves has gone down to NXT. I mean, if you do not know the story of Corey Graves, I'll fill you in. We'll do a little story time here. He started as a superstar in NXT. Had a great singles run. He was a tag team champion with Adrian Neville. He had a great career. However, unfortunately, he kind of went the way of Christian and Daniel Bryan in that he was very concussion prone. He got a lot of concussions, and eventually he had so many that they told him, you can't wrestle anymore because you could die. This could kill you. So Corey Graves stepped off of being a superstar and he told Triple H, give me, I think it was like 6 months to kind of find my place. He went to Dusty Rhodes and tried to help with promo class. He started putting himself into all the aspects of production in WWE. And he found his place in the commentary booth with, I think he was working with Tom Phillips. So, and that's why if you go and you watch NXT now with Tom Phillips and Corey Graves, it's such a good element between the two of those guys. They're perfect together. They really are a very Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler. That's right, I said it. They're that good. They're Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. They're that good. They're that good together. So you've got, Corey Graves now finds a space in WWE, and it's a perfect spot. He's a better commentator than he ever was a wrestler. He is the voice of NXT, and fans love him. I don't think there's I have never met a single fan out there that does not like Corey Graves. If you're that one fan that doesn't like Corey Graves, leave it in the comments. Shoot me an email, roughandwrestlingshow@gmail.com, and let me know. I want to meet that one person that doesn't like Corey Graves. And if you tell me that you don't like Corey Graves, be ready for a discussion. Be ready for a debate, because I'm going to fight you. I'm going to find out why you don't like him, and I want to hear why. Don't just go, oh, I don't like him. Don't come with a reason. Don't just come at me with, I don't like him. Don't come at me like that. Don't be that wrestling fan that just, for the, sake of, just, come on. Have a reason. But anyway, getting back to the subject at hand now that we've had a little sidebar story time there. But we got Corey Graves on Raw now, and it's great. I mean, Michael Cole's still there. Robo Byron Saxton, Plug Network is still there. I'm sorry, Robo Byron Saxton 5000 is still there. But, whatever. We've moved JBL to SmackDown, and Jerry Lawler, it doesn't do commentary anymore. We have David Otunga, who I have to admit I actually like on commentary. I didn't think I was going to, but I like him. I mean, the guy's educated. He's got a law degree from Harvard. The guy's probably made more money doing law work for WWE than he ever did in the ring. That's probably not true, but you know what I mean. I'm pretty sure he's got a sweet cushy job in WWE legal. So, but that's who knows? That's just speculation. I don't know. So, but anyways, so I like what they did with the commentary team. Moved them off the floor, shook up the guys. I like it. A lot of people were also complaining that they didn't think that Mick Foley being so babyface was going to work great with a heel commissioner in Stephanie McMahon. And that can't be further from the truth. If anything, I feel like they are gradually slow burning Stephanie McMahon to a face, because the Authority is pretty much dead and gone. I think they were going to try to do it when they decided they were going to do commissioners and GMs, but it's just not been working out because Stephanie and Mick have to spend so much time on screen together that you can't expect Stephanie to be mean and berate and belittle Mick Foley, because the fans will revolt. They'll throw trash at her for doing that. So I think the idea to turn her more neutral face is a good idea. I've liked the way they've been together. I love the whole thing that Mick wears a suit. Up until this past week, he stopped wearing a suit finally, and he carries a clipboard, despite the fact that Stephanie has gotten him an iPad. I love what Mick's been doing. He's been doing some great stuff. He's been making great matches, and I've been really excited about Monday Night Raw. So, talking about two things they've been doing on Monday Night Raw, and that is the return of the jobbers. I know that's such a derogatory term, jobbers. Enhancement talent. There we go. The return of enhancement talent. If you remember, I grew up in the 1980s. If you remember watching like WWE Superstars on Saturday mornings in the 1980s, you would see like the Rockers versus, Jim Davis and Bo Hunkley. I just made those names up. I don't, those aren't actual names. I literally just made those up. They would, you'd see Brutus the Barber Beefcake versus Adam Smith. You would see WWE superstars versus guys you've never heard of because you're never supposed to have heard of them. They're local talent. Maybe they are underlings in WWE. Maybe they've got a developmental deal and they're going through a developmental territory and they're giving them a little shot, take 5 minutes on TV and everything. But if you've noticed, they've been bringing that back with Braun Strowman and Nia Jax. Because if I made it vocally pretty clear that if there was one draft pick that I was not too crazy about and kind of didn't understand the logic and the sense behind it, it was Nia Jax. However, what they've been doing here with the developmental talent, enhancement talent, jobbers, whatever you want to call them, it's been great. Braun Strowman has had some great squash matches. Of course, the most famous one I think it was his first one, James Ellsworth. If a man's got 2 hands, he's got a fighting chance. I actually listened to it. He was on a wrestling podcast I listened to. He was on Sam Roberts' wrestling podcast. Great show, great podcast, Sam. If you ever catch wind of this, you're doing a great job, man. But he was on there, and it was such a good interview. He was such a good talent to listen to. He had a lot of cool stories. He was really, super positive, super humbled by the opportunity that he got on Monday Night Raw. Apparently, he had also been a rosebud for Adam Rose before. Apparently, he's worked backstage and done some kind of backstage, almost like extra work, which I didn't realize they did this. WWE essentially hires extras just like movies do. Which I didn't know that. If I'd known that, I would have been trying to get on WWE for a while. Obviously not as a wrestler, but, to be a backstage talent. I can be, the intern that somebody, dumps a drink on. I'd love to do that. That's cool, man. I'd love to be that guy, So, if anybody knows how you get in touch with whoever, man, I want to find out how to do that. Because I'd love to. I think it'd be great. So he had been a rosebud before. But he also runs a promotion out of Baltimore. He's been a wrestler for like 14 years, and when you look at the guy, I actually joked. I said, this guy takes bumps like a cameraman because that's what I thought he was. I honestly thought he was a cameraman that maybe, at least could take basic bumps. And they threw him in the ring with Braun Strowman, and that was just that. But of course, he said he didn't know he was going to get the promo until like that day, like that morning. He found out he was going to get 15 seconds. So he came up with, if a man's got 2 hands, he's got a fighting chance. And they ran it by creative, and they loved it. So they were like, you have to say it now. Like he was worried that he was going to say it and he was going to get in trouble, or they was going to tell them about it and they were going to come back and go, no, that's lame. Don't do that. But he ended up giving it over to creative, and they loved it. And they actually told him that he had to say it now. So that's where you got it. If a man's got 2 hands, he's got a fighting chance. Of course, he got his ass kicked in 10 seconds. My only downside with Braun Strowman right now, and I think a lot of guys that are in the business, guys that know things like this is a popular opinion among, like I say, the boys and guys in the business, is that Braun Strowman needs a new finisher. That forward choke slam is going to kill it's going to hurt somebody. Because how in the world do you take that bump? You just get dropped on your face and on your stomach and on your arm, and it's going to end up hurting somebody, I think. So, and plus, come on. That guy can do a power bomb. That guy can do something. He's a big dude. He can do a big boot. He can do a big boot into a power bomb. That better combination than what you got right now. But I like what they've been doing with Braun Strowman. They broke up the Wyatts. He got sent to Raw. Bray and Eric Rowan end up on SmackDown. And and like I said, they cut his hair. Well, they redid his hair. They didn't cut it. They shaved the sides of his hair and put it back he wears it back in a ponytail, with the shaved sides exposed. But I like it. I like his music. They really didn't change his look too much. He doesn't talk. He just comes in, beats the hell out of somebody, and leaves the ring. I love it. I think it will be great for him. I think they'll get him in a great spot eventually with that, and just get him a new finisher. Really, that's really all I'd do there. Get him a new finisher and keep feeding him developmental talent. Speaking of Nia Jax, I think she's been doing a lot better job than Braun Strowman. She's just got a better moveset. She's got some great splashes. She's got a great leg drop that she has been toying with leaving it in the pin, which honestly, if you've beaten the girl down that you're in the ring with, if you do that leg drop properly and at the right time, you could just stay down and leave the leg drop in a pin. And I think that's been great. I love that. So I hope they kind of keep that around. She's gotten, a few people have had some whispers of some heat because she actually busted up one or two of her girls because she just works stiff. I think she's just nervous. I don't think she works stiff. I think she was just nervous. It was her first week on Raw. I'm sure she was, composed, but on the inside, probably a little bit scared, terrified, nervous. It's her first time in the big show, and she busted up a girl. It happens. And you can't blame somebody for that. But she's really impressed me. Whereas I've said here, like I said at the draft, I'm not crazy about Nia Jax, and honestly, she's done perfectly fine. She's done better than any of the NXT girls on SmackDown, which we're going to get to in a minute. The last thing I want to talk about that they've been doing on Raw is the fact that they made Finn Balor a main event red hot over superstar in one night. One night. He fought 2 matches. He fought a fatal 4-way to get into the main event of Raw that night, and then he beat Vince McMahon's golden boy, Roman Reigns, to get a spot at the Universal Championship, the brand new WWE Universal Championship, on Monday Night Raw. At SummerSlam. My fault. He won the match on Raw. But the match is this Sunday at SummerSlam against Seth Rollins. Great match. And over the past week, these guys have built a red-hot program that I'm super, super excited about. I hope that this match goes on last. I know some people will say that the WWE Championship needs to go on last because it's the big belt. But you know what? They're about to make 2 big belts. And honestly, I feel like they're making the one on Raw bigger. It's going to be the bigger, more important belt. And I think that match needs to go on last. That's just my opinion on the matter, but I think it needs to go on last. But especially like with this past week on Raw, with Seth was walking around very comically looking for the Demon King, walking around the hallways yelling out for the Demon King. It reminded me very much of Goldust and R-Truth going around hunting for Pokemon, but he's going around looking for the Demon King. And actually, they missed a golden opportunity, a golden truth opportunity, if you will. Pun totally intended, for Seth and Golden Truth to have a moment where they're looking for Pokemon and he's looking for the Demon King, and they're like, "Is that a Pokemon?" Come on, that's great. I mean, creative comes up with worse things, really. That could have been funny, quick little 30-second thing. But anyway, so you've got Seth Rollins walking around looking for the Demon King, and then Mick tells him, go out to the ring and call him out. If he doesn't come out, well, then you'll see him Sunday. So Seth goes out, calls out the Demon King, and of course, lights flicker. Actually, a fan got in the ring and tried to shove Seth, but security got to him before I think he actually did push him, but I think he just pushed and ran, and then security took care of him. They didn't really show it on TV. You just saw him real quick pop up. I think there's some YouTube videos of the actual whole thing, like from a better view where you can actually see what happened. And I haven't watched them, but it looks like he actually got in and kind of half shoved him and then rolled out, and then security just got him and took him out, and that was the end of that. So, but of course the lights flicker. The speaking in tongues comes over, and out comes Finn Balor in full body paint, full Demon King mode, which I thought they were going to really save for SummerSlam, but I guess they really wanted people. I guess they're maybe trying to get some WWE Network subscriptions before Sunday, so they had Finn come out on Monday Night Raw in full body paint, so people know, oh crap, this is what this guy looks like. This is what the Demon King is. Oh my God, I've got to subscribe because I've got to see this on Sunday. So I think that was what that was. I think they were just trying to get some subscription buys up before Sunday, and hopefully it worked. Yeah, hopefully it worked. But Monday Night Raw, I've been loving what they've been doing on Monday Night Raw. It's been great. I love the whole thing with Enzo and Cass and Jericho. I love that whole thing. I love Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens together. So I really love that. The whole Sheamus and Cesaro thing is a thing. The New Day and the Club thing is a thing. I think they're building up for the Club to win the titles. It's on Sunday, but we're going to talk about that in the SummerSlam preview. So there's been some things that haven't been working on Raw, but a lot of it has been working pretty good. It's been firing up pretty good on all cylinders, and I've been really liking Monday Night Raw a lot more than I've been liking SmackDown Live. So let's talk about SmackDown Live. SmackDown Live, I know that when they went live, they wanted it to feel like it wasn't the B show. It wasn't the secondary show to Monday Night Raw. But unfortunately, it's still kind of sitting with that stigma. Shane and Daniel have been doing a great job, but it's also been kind of goofy. It hasn't really felt like serious. I don't know. It's weird. It's hard to put into words, which with a podcast like this is something you don't want to have happen, but it's hard to put into words. When you look at the roster, yeah, they got Cena, they got Styles, they got Bray, Dolph, Dean. They got good talent. But they're also having to go and sign older talent to come back on part-time statuses. They're probably going to be pulling some more people up from NXT, maybe doing some free agent signings to get their roster up to the caliber that Raw is. Raw got the better draft. And they were designed to get the better draft, and they did. So, my biggest complaint is this. Monday Night Raw's women, they have Charlotte, Dana Brooke, Sasha Banks, Nia Jax, and there's probably some others in there that I'm forgetting. But then SmackDown got Becky Lynch, Natalya, Carmella, Alexa Bliss, Naomi. They got more women, but they didn't get the right women. Maybe that's just saying that Charlotte and Sasha steal the show no matter where they are. The fact that they had Sasha win the title before SummerSlam was really cool. That was a really cool moment. I really enjoyed that. But I felt that the women's division on SmackDown is very lacking. It doesn't have the charisma, it doesn't have the story, and it doesn't have the emotion that Monday Night Raw's women do. So, obviously there's room for improvement, and they probably will. But they're talking about bringing a women's title to SmackDown, and for me, it's like I don't really care about a women's title on SmackDown. I would rather women have their matches here and then have a woman go over at a crossover pay-per-view, which I think the next one after SummerSlam is, I believe, Survivor Series, which is months away, but you could have one of them take it from Sasha, possibly. I don't want that to happen because I love Sasha Banks as champion, but maybe you could have Becky Lynch win it from Sasha at Survivor Series, and you can bring the women's title over to SmackDown. Same thing with the tag title. They keep wanting to talk about the tag titles on bringing a tag title to SmackDown, and I don't really care for that either. You've got some teams on SmackDown. You've got the Hype Bros. You've got American Alpha. You got the Vaudevillains. You got the Ascension. So you've got some teams. Now, you don't have the New Day. You don't have the Club. You don't have Enzo and Cass. Again, this is where the emotion and the caliber of talent hurts you, because the teams on Raw are definitely more engaging, more popular, and more desirable than the teams on SmackDown outside of American Alpha and the Hype Bros. But that's only because I like Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley together. So you've got an issue here where I just don't really get involved, and I don't really feel invested with the teams on SmackDown. And yeah, even though that's American Alpha, I love Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. I will watch American Alpha anytime they're on. Sadly, I wished American Alpha would have gone to Raw. If you put American Alpha on Raw, you've got American Alpha, The New Day, Enzo and Cass, The Club, or Gallus and Anderson on Raw, and it just makes Raw even more red hot. But right now, American Alpha is carrying that tag division on SmackDown. So unless you get, like somebody like the Revival, I would love to see the Revival come up from NXT and go to SmackDown, which could happen. It could happen very soon, because this weekend at TakeOver, Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano are taking on the Revival for the tag titles. So this could be the time that the tag champions in NXT drop those titles and possibly come up to SmackDown. Now, putting the Revival on SmackDown creates a great feud with the Revival and American Alpha, because that's the feud where American Alpha won their NXT championships. So that's a great feud for the first SmackDown Tag Championships. Now, if they're going to do that, that fixes that problem. That fixes that problem, at least for a while. It buys you some time. But that women's division is still got a major problem, in that when those women come out, I don't feel invested. On SmackDown, on Raw, the women come out, I'm in. I'm tuned in. I'm ready to watch. SmackDown, the women come out, it's time to get a snack. It's time to go to the bathroom. They've reverted back. They've taken a few steps back in the women's division on SmackDown. And that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. But I don't feel like I am. I feel like I'm not alone in that. That I feel that the SmackDown women's division took 2 or 3 steps backwards from where we were at WrestleMania. And they'll find that chance. They'll get back up there. You could bring Asuka up, which I would... Sadly, in the state of things right now, I really don't want to see Asuka thrown on SmackDown. Maybe you throw Asuka on Raw, and you put Bayley on SmackDown. I'd like to see Bayley go to SmackDown. Bayley could do well on SmackDown. Because, she's over face. You've got Becky, you've got her, you got Carmella, and then you got your 3 big heels on SmackDown and the women with Natalya, Alexa Bliss, and Naomi. So you got something there. Maybe Bayley's the fix. Bayley could be coming up after Saturday. Who knows? Who knows? I don't. Who knows? It's all gonna tell for NXT, at least after Brooklyn 2 Electric Boogaloo. So, but that's my thoughts so far. That's my state of wrestling. Not to steal from Sam Roberts again. Sam, if you hear this, you're doing a great job. Don't sue me. But yeah. I've been enjoying Raw a lot more than I've been liking SmackDown. SmackDown, I feel like I could miss. I don't have to watch it. Raw, I feel like even if I do find out what happens, I still want to go back and watch it. SmackDown, if I hear what happens, it's give or take. It depends on what happened, is whether or not I watch it or not. I'm excited about Dolph Ziggler and Dean Ambrose. I'll talk about that in the SummerSlam preview. But I like that match. I like that Dolph came pretty much out of nowhere to be a top guy on SmackDown. I love that they're doing Cena Styles, I think, 5 now? Or 4? I like that. There's a good story there. But I'm going to talk about that on the SummerSlam preview. But thank you guys for listening. If you have not subscribed to the show, you can do so on iTunes and on Google Play, Rough and Wrestling Show. You can also find the show on YouTube. Again, just audio, no video. I promise I will do some video soon when I find some time. Honestly, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to time. So I promise I will do some video that I'll put up on YouTube very, very soon. But right now on YouTube, it's just audio, but you can find it right there too. Rough and Wrestling Show right there on YouTube. You can subscribe. Subscribing is the easiest way because the show finds you. I just took a month off. Maybe you're thinking, oh, he's not going to do any more shows. He's quit. No, I haven't quit. I haven't tapped out. I'm going to do shows again. I'm just finally getting around to it. If you had subscribed, the show would find you. Surprise. There you go. He didn't quit. Look at there. I got to show him in my podcast feed. So that's the best way. Google Play, iTunes on Apple. That is your best way to subscribe for the show. Again, if you're a YouTuber, go to YouTube. You can like the show. You can subscribe to the show right there. Show finds you. You don't miss a single episode. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. I'll be back this weekend. A little bit later, I'll have a show up on Saturday for SummerSlam. I'll get it right here in a minute. For NXT TakeOver 2, TakeOver Brooklyn 2, Electric Boogaloo, and then, of course, I'll have a show up on Sunday, SummerSlam preview, so subscribe, or if you don't subscribe, just remember to go find the shows, because lots coming at you throughout the weekend. But thank you guys for tuning in, and until next time, peace.